A very good morning on a Monday, slow Monday, to Father John, Father Augustine, the faculty of Silver Hills, and of course the not so happy children of Silver Hills. Just saw about maybe a handful of kids raising their hands. Monday is always going to be like this, don't worry. I mean, you start working, Monday is going to be really disgusting to get up from a lovely Sunday and a weekend, right? But you need to charge yourself and you need to make your mind up that you need to seize the week. There's another 5 days to go. Okay. How many of you have seen the movie Adam? Anybody who's seen the movie Adam? It's about this kid. Oh yeah, we've got somebody who's seen Adam there. None of the kids have seen Adam. It's on Netflix. Very good. So Adam is about this young kid who meets his older self, and the older self is kind of guiding him, and they fight through. Now everybody's seen it. All right. I mean, ask yourself, would you want your older self to come and kind of tell your younger self that don't do this, and maybe change something in your past? You're all young right now, but I'm sure everybody carries a little bit of regret about that one day when you could have done it, something better, something bigger. I mean, the adults over here would definitely think so that, maybe I can go back to my 10-year-old self, or maybe the 14-year-old self or the 15-year-old self, and tell them, study for your board exams. This is what's going to make a difference in your life. Right? Just imagine a 40-year-old of yourself coming back and trying to tell you something, advising you. I don't think you would recognize that person. I mean, if I was a kid of your age and with this big mustache, I land up in my study and I say, son, remember, I am your future self. I would have kicked that guy out. I would have said, who are you? I don't want to listen from some stranger. Would you recognize yourself? I don't think so. You wouldn't recognize yourself. You would be listening to advice from some old chap. Very similar to how you listen to advice from your parents, from your teachers, from your, elders. So basically, your parents, your teachers, your elders are your future selves trying to advise you on what not to do and what to do so that you have a better life, a better version of the life that they have been through. They would have been through something very difficult, then they come and tell you, don't do that, study hard. Maths is difficult, you need to keep practicing. That's because in one way we are your future self. I wish when I looked at the perspective of my parents and my teachers as my future self, or the wizened person, I might have just listened to them. Right? So today I will request all of you, to look at me as your future self. And when I speak to you, take it that it's you 30 years from now trying to tell you right now to grasp something that I'm going to tell you today. It's important. I got a call from the school maybe last Friday, where I was told by the school counselor, so that, are you willing to come and conduct a lecture on drug abuse? And I was wondering as to why I am the candidate to be called for that. Anyway, just a week back, on 9th of October, my battalion was celebrating the Territorial Army's Raising Day. So we were raised in 1949 and we were celebrating that. And one of the JCOs, Subhada Manish, who was there in the Taj Palace attacks in Bombay, along with Major Unni Krishnan. Have you seen the movie Major? You've seen Major? So the officer is from Calicut, by the way. So in Major Unni's movie, you see a lot of violence being enacted. So I was asking this JCO about what happened inside the Taj Palace. How did you kind of go, through the entire act, and how was it traumatizing and all that? So at the end of the entire conversation, he tells me, sir, you need to conduct a lecture for the children on drug abuse. And I said that, isn't it a bit too high for school kids to, be told about drug abuse? It's generally in colleges, medical colleges, engineering colleges, and, residential schools and those kind of things. He said, no, sir, Calicut has become an hub. Kerala has become a hub. When we were kids, outside of school, all you found was ice cream trucks and bhel puri, chaat, those kind of things, and you were always desirous of having a little bit of pocket money to go and eat that. Now you have a different kind of enemy outside your gates. Maybe within, there must be kids who must be already onto it, quietly trying to show off to the others that I've become a big guy because I smoke a cigarette, because I drink alcohol. If you ask your future self to come here today, they'll say you're stupid, you're a loser because you're doing that. And what we need to understand is what seems cool today is what might be your downfall. Right? So when I was talking to your school staff, I got to know that apparently the school is clean and not many or incidents of kids coming to the counselor and asking that, ma'am, I'm into drugs, I want to leave it or something like that. So that's a good thing, that's a good call. But I can assure you, you will get tempted. You will get interested to try out something or the other. It could be, let me try a little bit of alcohol. It could be, let me try a puff of a cigarette because it makes you look like, the hero in KGF. Right? It might look cool. Ask someone who's been there, done that, come out of it. It's not. Nobody tells you the shitty side of it, that when you wake up in the morning, your mouth feels like an ashtray. You will go through that. You will have one of your own friends try to act adult and give you, see, I got this pack for you. Just try it out. Come on. Be a man. Try it out. Don't you have those kind of kids sitting over here? I know, somebody's sitting in between. These are the kids who are going to turn out to be losers. Because when you grow up, that cigarette is going to graduate. You may not graduate, but that cigarette is going to graduate into something bigger. It might become marijuana, weed, it might become something bigger, become crack, God knows what. It's not cool to try stupid things like that. Have a kid come over to you and tell you, see, I've learned photography. This is how you do composition of a photograph. This is the rule of 2/3. This is the rule of F16. That's more interesting. Learn something. Your mind is meant for learning, not for wasting it away. And I'm going to tell you that not now, maybe in a few years from now, class 12 kids, when you go to college, when you go into medical, engineering, or wherever you go, you will want to make friends. You will want to be accepted in the crowd. You want to be that cool crowd. And you will get tempted to jump into things like these, small things. It starts off being fun, then it slowly enslaves you till it controls you completely. Most of these drugs, they play with your, those nervous connections in your brains. They change the connections. They affect you. You're not just craving for it, your personality changes. Not for the good. You don't become a saint. You don't become a awesome guy. You become what, colloquially people would say is crackhead, dopehead and all that. Right? So you need to remember one thing, that in life, in the future, you will get hit hard. It's not just that you go for a party and, kids make you do a funny type of drug just to make you feel better. There will be days when you'll be on your knees. There'll be days when you'll be crying into bed. There'll be days when you'll think that, this is it. I can't handle this pressure anymore. It could be work. It could be finances. It could be everything you're not exposed to right now. You're in the comfort of your parents' house. No issues. It could be relationship issues, anything. It could be just loneliness. And you'd want to, just break out of it. Because of that, you might dip down, you might fall, you might try something which might ruin your life further. A temporary solution which leads you deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole till you're stuck. What you need to realize is that every time you fall, get up. Right? You fall down 7 times, get up 8 times. As long as you don't give up, as long as you don't give in, you will get up and you'll come out stronger. A lot of us are scared of adversity, scared of difficult times. I can tell you one thing, the only way you are forced to change your present is by going through difficult times. You wouldn't want to get out of your comfort zone if it wasn't something really bad which hit you, made you, break down, sit on your hunches and say that, I'm done, this can't be it. I used to be a kid who couldn't speak, forget about talking in public, I couldn't speak in English. I was too shy, I was an introvert. So I had this friend of mine in school, he said, Navin, if you want, I'll help you out, but don't feel bad if I keep checking you. And every time I used to say, those days we used to have something known as you have MP3 players and Bluetooth players now. We had cassettes, which you wound and it had a magnetic tape inside. He used to correct me. He used to say, Naveen, it's not cassette, it's cassette. It's not parent, it's parent. Small things he used to keep checking on me. This was in class 11. But it started off because I embarrassed myself real bad in public and I felt disgusted about it. The only thing which happened, for maybe a week, I was sulking and feeling bad and I wanted to go back home and just sleep and not think about it. But a week later, I told this to my friend and he said, let me help you out. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. You're not in this battle alone. There will be people who will kind of hold your hand wherever you are. Always remember that the Bible talks about the prodigal son who goes out, does all nasty things, comes back to his father and he's welcomed with a feast. So you will have people to take care of you. Don't worry. Hold on, be strong. And I'm telling you, you'll come out stronger. You'll come out much better. But you need adversity. Right? When I was in college, I had this asthmatic attack. I just couldn't breathe because we were out in Chennai going for sponsors and everything. And I got back home and I said, I can't, not at, I must have been, 16, 17 years. I said, not at this age. I can't be, having a puff in my hand because I've got an asthma. And I started by challenging my body by going for morning runs. When everybody was sleeping, 5 o'clock in the morning, I used to go for a run. It started with maybe 100 meters and then puff and pant, 200 meters, 500 meters, 600 meters, 700 meters. And slowly I was running and I was enjoying it, enjoying the wind on my face. Your journey will start with small steps. Whatever you want to achieve, you want to be, today you look at maybe a rock band and you decide that I want to be a lead guitarist. It starts with picking up a guitar and playing it. It starts with one step, small steps. You can't become a marathon runner on day one. Day one, you might not even do 100 meters properly. But maybe the 100th day, you will be somewhere close by. Your body will adapt to it. Right? Okay, I was talking to you about cigarettes. Right? So, I was a kid like you. Fortunately, our school didn't have drug abuse those days. But we still had a little bit of few kids here and there who used to come to school toilets and start smoking cigarettes and start feeling very adult and very macho about it. And college again, we had a lot of kids. The college was a residential college with a lot of freedom. Apparently, the level of freedom was so high that you could, share cigarettes with the professor also. Unfortunately, a lot of kids either go through that furnace, come out strong, or go there and perish. So when I was in college, in my hostel, almost every kid got tempted, got pushed, got coerced, got dragged into taking his drinks, taking cigarettes, and doing whatnot. There were two kids, self and one of my friends. We used to be sitting off the bench. So when these guys are getting drunk, we would pick up the snacks and eat them. We were teetotalers. We were absolutely clean. And I was thinking that, this is it. I've been able to stay clean 3 years of this college, which is known for all these kind of things. I'm going to go through life strong. 2 years into the army, and one fine day, I get a warm brandy and I start drinking. A couple of more years, and I see that my brother's smoking and my cousin sister's smoking, who are of my age, and I find it okay that smoking is all right. But the army gives you two things. It gives you either a lot of stress. I mean, you're not slept for a couple of days, you're on trail, you're tracking some group of terrorists or whatever. Or the second is you're so jobless, you don't know what to do. You're sitting on top of a mountain staring into the sky and saying, oh, it's beautiful, yeah, nice. But you've got nothing to do. So there are two things which make it easy for you to become a victim of things like cigarettes and all that. And yes, I started smoking quite a bit. I was once a very good runner in the army. I mean, we have these cross-country competitions, and it's a very reputed competition in the army. I used to do well in that. We had physical tests, pretty good in that. But I jumped from maybe the first cigarette once in a while to 20, to 30, to 40, to 60 cigarettes. And there was a time when I literally felt like an ashtray. But I just couldn't stop. I mean, it's not so easy. I mean, it's not like, it's eating chocolates that one day you just say, fine, I give it up. Chocolate doesn't pull you back. Drugs pulls you back. Cigarettes, they pull you back. There is a pang, it's worse than your hunger pang, which draws you back to take that puff. Anybody without willpower is not able to do it. You might have willpower for 6 days, 7th day you will fall to it because somebody offers you a cigarette. So there was this one day on the line of control in Uri sector, and we are sitting there, maybe 2, 3 in the morning, and there is sleet. Sleet is snow mixed with water. So it's pouring, sleeting, and you can see the snow, watery snow fall onto you. It's freezing cold because of the wind chill factor. Uri is where the Jhelum river crosses into Pakistan occupied Kashmir. And we were sitting there waiting for a kind of a source that we had launched across, waiting for this chap to come back. And the wait went from 2 hours to 3 hours, and it was about 4 in the morning. And I was busy, taking a smoke. And so there's this Subedar who comes to me. He's from the military intelligence. And he tells me something. He says, Saab, cigarette chhod do. Leave cigarette. Leave it. Not worth it. It spoils your life. It spoils your health and everything. And I was like giggling, yeah, I wish it was that easy. And he tells me that he used to be a chain smoker. He used to smoke a lot. And he had this another, Subedar Major, quite senior, who used to smoke cigarettes one after the other. And one day he saw him without a cigarette, and he asked, what happened, sir? How come you're not smoking? And he said, I've left it for the last 6 months. He said, how's that possible? And he gave him a mantra. He said that you just have to have the willpower to say no to that next cigarette. It is not you have to give up smoking, but say no to that next cigarette. When somebody offers you a cigarette, at that particular time, harness your inner willpower to say no. And one step at a time, he was able to stop smoking. And that's what eventually made me stop smoking. To learn to say no every time the urge came up. In the army, we have something known as, route marches or speed marches, where you carry your weapon, your battle loads, and you run. It's a competition, so there is no, walking. So you do 10 kilometers, you do 20 kilometers, and eventually you do about 40 kilometers. And it's harassing. Late at night, you get up at 2 o'clock because traffic is less at that time, and then they make you start running. So 40 kilometers is 6 hours of running with that load, and eventually, by the time you finish, your feet is bleeding, it's got blisters all over. Wherever there was a friction, your back is cut. I mean, anywhere your rifle sling is touching is peeled off, or it's bruised, and you're exhausted. You have not an ounce of energy left in you. How do you run that long? How do you run with that much of energy? So what we are taught is you'd never look in front. When you look in front, you see that there's so much of distance that I have to cover. They say just look a couple of meters in front, keep your head low, and tell yourself, I need to put 1 feet ahead of the other. I just need to put 1 feet ahead of the other. It's just 1 feet at a time. Your life is going to be like that. You want to achieve anything. The first thing, remember, it starts with the first step. You want to become a musician. I mean, you've seen a lot of excellent, talented kids in your school. So you want to become one of them. You want to become that great Bharatanatyam dancer. It starts with small steps. Go for some kind of a dance coaching. It'll take time. It'll take effort. It'll want you dreaming and wanting it. Your legs are going to hurt. Bharatanatyam makes your heels hurt. But it's one step at a time. The same way, in case in future you get stuck, learn to say no to the next hit, whatever it is. I'm sure you're all addicted in one way or the other. Your teacher was talking about music bands, a lot of kids watching music bands. My daughter's into Stray Kids and BTS and God knows what from Korea. I'm sure you're all into, how many of you into video gaming? Me too. See, my daughter's biggest crib is, Daddy, you're always on the laptop playing games. There is an addiction. All you need to do is learn to say no the next time you get that urge that let me do this, let me do that. Small steps. The power is within you. Right? Father John was talking about this lovely book which spoke about creativity being within you. That you have these ancestors who've been artists and who've done everything, and you're the the crux or the sedimentation of all that creativity. Don't believe that your present status is your potential. You are immensely powerful, and I can assure you, remember today is 2000, which year? 22, October. 20 years from now, you might try remembering that I wish when I was in class 11 or class 10 or class 7 or 8, I wish I had started playing the guitar. I wish I'd started playing football, I would have become Ronaldo. I wish I had started playing basketball, or I had joined the basketball team just for fun, I would have become a great basketball player. I wish I opened my books more often, because on the day of exam, it doesn't go inside. The day of exam is only for revision. Every day be attentive in class, follow it up back when you go back home, and you're good for your exams. You don't need a revision. Right? So always believe your potential is much more. You were not, when you were born the same capability wise, you were born the same. Right? All that matters in your life as to what you want to achieve is you need to want that really bad and you need to work towards your goal. So dream big, and once you dream that this is what I want to become, pursue it. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be that you have to become a doctor or an engineer. It could be that I want to become an artist. Pursue it. Right? Lastly, I want to tell you about school. I mean, this is the age when it's always important to fit in, to have friends, to be cool and everything. I request all of you, I mean, make it cool. Make it the good thing to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. Make it cool to be clean, to be a good kid, to be a good person. Don't get enchanted by, the bullies. Don't get enchanted by the guys who push their weight around everyone else. They'll end up, you'll have the last laugh. They'll end up losers. Make it cool right now because these are the foundation years. This is the age which is the most important in your life. This is the age when you are chiseled into something bigger. This is the age when you start that first step. What you do right now, 20 years later, will matter. Anything you are 20 years later would have started in this journey here, right now. Take that step. And if ever in life you want to have a drug or get high, let that high be from life. Let that high be from something creative, art, travel. Get high on life. I wish you all the best. I'm sure something will happen good in your lives, and you will not get trapped in the statistics in a newspaper that 12 schools have been, affected by drug abuse in Calicut. Stay away from it. It's not worth it. It's a trap. Thank you so much.